Greetings, fellow Earthlings, and those visiting from off-planet. Buzz. Today's Top 10 Countdown is Famous Moonwalkers, where we cover the first 10 people to walk on the moon. Let's get started. Coming in at number 10. Who is Charles Duke? Charles Duke, born on October 3rd, 1935 in Charlotte, North Carolina, USA, is still alive. Charles Duke was the lunar module pilot for Apollo 16, where he became the 10th person to walk on the moon. Here's 10 more interesting facts about Charles Duke. Charles Duke holds the record as the youngest person to walk on the moon, stepping onto the lunar surface at the age of 36 during the Apollo 16 mission in 1972. Duke served as a United States Air Force officer, accumulating over 4,000 hours of flying time in jet aircraft before joining NASA. Selected as an astronaut in 1966, Duke was a part of the astronaut support crew for Apollo 11 and served as backup lunar module pilot for Apollo 13 before his own lunar mission. During Apollo 16, Duke and John Young conducted a Lunar Olympics, where they performed high jumps and other activities to explore the effects of low gravity. After his return from the moon, Duke became a born-again Christian. He left a photograph of his family on the lunar surface, and he later became active in Christian ministry. Duke had a successful post-NASA career, working in business and later serving as the president of the Duke Investments Corporation. Duke earned a Bachelor of Science in Naval Sciences from the United States Naval Academy and a Master of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, what we call MIT. The Apollo 16 mission included extensive lunar surface exploration, collecting samples, and deploying scientific instruments to study the moon's geology. Duke and Young conducted 3 moonwalks during the Apollo 16, spending a total of about 20 hours on the lunar surface. Charles Duke has received various honors, including the NASA Distinguished Service Medal and the Air Force Distinguished Service Medal. Charles Duke's distinction as the youngest person to walk on the moon highlights his significant role in the Apollo program. His post-mission activities, from religious experiences to a successful business career, demonstrate the diverse impact of moonwalkers beyond their time at NASA. Duke's contributions to space exploration and subsequent endeavors reflect the spirit of exploration that defines humanity's journey beyond the Earth. Coming in at number 9. Who was John Young? John Watts Young, born on September 24, 1930 in San Francisco, California, passed away on January 5, 2018. John Young was the commander of Apollo 16, and his remarkable career spanned over 4 decades at NASA, making him the longest-serving astronaut. Here are 10 interesting facts about John Young. John Young joined NASA in 1962 and holds the record as the agency's longest-serving astronaut, with a career that included 6 space flights over 42 years. Young commanded the inaugural space shuttle flight STS-1 in 1981, making him the first person to fly in space 6 times and the only astronaut to pilot, command, and walk on the moon. Before becoming an astronaut, Young was a U.S. Navy test pilot, flying a wide variety of aircraft, and he set several world records for speed and altitude. As the commander of Apollo 16, Young and Charles Duke explored the lunar surface for nearly 3 days, conducting experiments and collecting samples. Young and Duke conducted 3 moonwalks during Apollo 16, spending a total of about 20 hours on the lunar surface. Young's skills in orbital mechanics were crucial during the Apollo 10 mission, where he performed critical maneuvers to test the lunar module in lunar orbit, paving the way for the moon landing. Young played a key role in developing the space shuttle and contributed to the design of the Space Shuttle Orbiter, earning him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Young earned a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. On the STS-9 mission, Young served as commander of the Space Lab mission, further demonstrating his versatility in spaceflight. After retiring from NASA in 2004, Young continued to advocate for space exploration, emphasizing the importance of returning to the moon and reaching Mars. John Young's unparalleled contribution to NASA space programs, From his early days as a test pilot to commanding historic missions like Apollo 16 and the first space shuttle flight, shaped the agency's trajectory. His legacy as a space pioneer, record holder, and advocate for exploration underscores the profound impact of his career on the history of space exploration. Coming in at number 8. Who was James Irwin? James Benson Irwin, born on March 17, 1930 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, passed away on August 8, 1991. As the lunar module pilot for Apollo 15, Irwin became the 8th person to walk on the moon. Here's 10 interesting facts about James Irwin. Irwin served as a fighter pilot in the United States Air Force, logging over 7,000 hours of flight time in various aircraft before joining NASA. Selected as an astronaut in 1966, Irwin was a member of the support crew for Apollo 10 before his assignment to Apollo 15. Irwin's mission with David Scott on Apollo 15 in 1971 was the first to include the use of the lunar rover, allowing for extended exploration and sample collection. As the lunar module pilot, Irwin descended to the moon's surface with Scott while the command module orbited above. Irwin conducted scientific experiments on the moon's surface, including deploying the first lunar roving vehicle, and collected valuable geological samples. Irwin experienced heart issues during the Apollo 15 mission, leading to concerns about his ability to complete the lunar activities. However, he performed his duties successfully. Irwin described his time on the moon as a profound spiritual experience. After his return, he founded the High Flight Foundation, emphasizing the connection between science and faith. Irwin earned a Bachelor of Science in Naval Science from the United States Naval Academy. After leaving NASA, Irwin dedicated himself to Christian ministry, conducting several missions to Mount Ararat in search of Noah's Ark. Irwin was awarded the NASA Distinguished Service Medal and the United States Air Force Distinguished Service Medal for his contributions to space exploration. James Irwin's unique experience on the moon, coupled with his spiritual reflections, added a profound dimension to the Apollo 15 mission. His contributions to lunar science and the use of innovative technologies, such as the lunar rover, expanded the scope of human exploration on the moon. Irwin's post-NASA endeavors reflect his deep commitment to both scientific exploration and spiritual pursuits, leaving a lasting legacy in both realms. Coming in at number 7. Who is David Scott? David Randolph Scott, born on June 6, 1932 in San Antonio, Texas, is still alive. As the commander of Apollo 15, Scott played a pivotal role in advancing lunar exploration. Here's 10 interesting facts about David Scott. Scott began his career as an officer in the United States Air Force, where he logged over 5,600 hours of flying time in various aircraft. Selected as an astronaut in 1963, Scott flew on Gemini 8 before commanding Apollo 9, the first crewed mission to test the lunar module. As the commander of Apollo 15 in 1971, Scott and James Irwin conducted extensive lunar surface exploration, utilizing the first lunar roving vehicle to cover greater distances. Scott served as the commander of the lunar module while Irwin descended to the moon's surface. He also piloted the command module during the mission. On the moon, Scott performed a famous experiment, dropping a geologic hammer and a feather at the same time to demonstrate Galileo's theory of falling objects in a vacuum. Scott set a record for the longest spacewalk during the Apollo program, spending 6 hours and 22 minutes outside the spacecraft during Apollo 9. Scott faced controversy after the Apollo 15 mission when he carried unauthorized postage stamps to the moon, intending to sell them later. This led to reprimands, but did not overshadow the scientific success of the mission. Scott earned a Bachelor of Science in Military Science from the United States Military Academy at West Point and a Master of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. After leaving NASA, Scott held various positions in the aerospace industry. He also wrote books and engaged in educational outreach, sharing his experiences. Scott received numerous awards, including the NASA Distinguished Service Medal and the Air Force Distinguished Service Medal. David Scott's command of Apollo 15 marked a significant step forward in lunar exploration, with the mission incorporating advanced scientific tools and technologies. His leadership, both in space and during the subsequent investigation into the postage stamp incident, reflected the complexities of human endeavors beyond Earth. Scott's dedication to education and outreach underscores the importance of sharing the experiences of space exploration with future generations. Coming in at number 6. Who was Edgar Mitchell? Edgar Dean Mitchell, born on September 17, 1930, in Hereford, Texas, passed away on February 4, 2016. As the lunar module pilot for Apollo 14, Mitchell became the 6th person to walk on the moon. Here's 10 interesting facts about Edgar Mitchell. Before joining NASA, Mitchell served as a naval officer with a background as a test pilot and an instructor at the United States Naval Test Pilot School. Selected as an astronaut in 1966, Mitchell flew on the Apollo 14 in 1971 following his time as the backup lunar module pilot for Apollo 10. Mitchell and Alan Shepard conducted the third successful moon landing, spending about 9 hours on the lunar surface, conducting experiments and collecting samples. As the lunar module pilot, Mitchell piloted the lunar module to the surface while Shepard descended to the moon. They also performed 2 moonwalks. Mitchell set a record for the longest spacewalk during Apollo 14, spending 9 hours and 23 minutes on the lunar surface. After his astronaut career, Mitchell pursued studies in human consciousness, parapsychology, and metaphysics found in the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Mitchell was involved in various business ventures and served on the boards of several companies. His interest in space exploration and consciousness persisted throughout his life. Mitchell earned a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Management from the Carnegie Institute of Technology, now Carnegie Mellon University, and a Doctor of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautics from MIT. Mitchell was a proponent of technological innovations and alternative energy solutions, advocating for sustainable practices and environmental awareness. Mitchell received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the NASA Distinguished Service Medal, and the Navy Distinguished Service Medal. Edgar Mitchell's contributions extend beyond the realm of space exploration, encompassing his interest in consciousness and sustainability. His dedication to exploring the mysteries of the mind and universe reflects the broader perspectives that some astronauts developed during their lunar experiences. Mitchell's multifaceted career served as an example of the diverse paths taken by those who have ventured into the unknown reaches of space. We're halfway. Are you enjoying the video? Then smash that like button. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel, where we publish a new Top 10 Countdown every Tuesday. Now, back to the show. Coming in at number 5. Who was Alan Shepard? Alan Bartlett Shepard Jr., born on November 18, 1923 in Derry, New Hampshire, passed away on July 21, 1998. Shepard was a pioneering American astronaut and the commander of Apollo 14, making his historic return to space after being the first American in space on the Freedom 7 suborbital mission in 1961. Here's 10 interesting facts about Alan Shepard. On May 5, 1961, Shepard made history as the first American to travel to space aboard the Freedom 7 spacecraft, reaching an altitude of 116 miles and experiencing a brief suborbital flight. Shepard had a distinguished career as a naval aviator, logging over 8,000 flight hours in various aircraft, including high-speed test flights. Shepard was one of the original NASA Mercury 7 astronauts. After his historic suborbital flight, he underwent surgery for an inner ear disorder, leading to a temporary hiatus. He returned to space as the commander of Apollo 14 in 1971. Shepard, along with Edgar Mitchell, spent about 9 hours on the lunar surface during the Apollo 14 mission, conducting experiments, collecting samples, and famously hitting golf balls with a makeshift club. As the commander of Apollo 14, Shepard became the 6th person to walk on the moon on February 5, 1971, demonstrating the progress of American space exploration. Shepard's golfing on the moon used a specifically designed 6-iron head attached to a lunar sample scoop handle became an iconic moment of the Apollo program. After retiring from NASA in 1974, Shepard pursued various business ventures. He also became the first astronaut to enter the U.S. Senior PGA Tour. Shepard earned a Bachelor of Science in Naval Sciences from the United States Naval Academy. Shepard received several honors, including the Congressional Space Medal of Honor and the Navy Distinguished Service Medal. Alan Shepard's legacy extends beyond his space achievements, representing the courage and pioneering spirit of early space exploration. His contributions laid the groundwork for future manned missions and inspired generations of astronauts. Alan Shepard's journey from the first American in space to the commander of Apollo 14 exemplifies his resilience and dedication to space exploration. His historic golf swing on the lunar surface added a touch of humor to the serious business of lunar exploration. Shepard's legacy lives on as a trailblazer and symbol of American space achievements. Coming in at number 4. Who was Alan Bean? Alan Laverne Bean, born on March 15, 1932 in Wheeler, Texas, passed away on May 26, 2018. As the lunar module pilot for Apollo 12, Bean became the 4th person to walk on the moon. Here's 10 interesting facts about Alan Bean. Before joining NASA, Bean had a distinguished career as a naval aviator and a test pilot in the United States Navy. Selected as an astronaut in 1963, Bean flew on Gemini 11 before serving as the lunar module pilot for Apollo 12 in 1969. Bean, along with Charles Conrad, spent about 7 hours on the lunar surface during the Apollo 12 mission, conducting experiments and collecting samples. After retiring from NASA in 1981, Bean pursued a career as an artist. His paintings capture his experiences on the moon and offer a unique perspective on space exploration. Bean was the 4th person to walk on the moon, stepping onto the lunar surface just minutes after Charles Conrad during the Apollo 12 mission. Bean served as the commander of the Skylab 3 mission in 1973, spending 59 days in space. Skylab was the United States' first space station. Bean earned a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering from the University of Texas at Austin. Bean conducted an experiment on the moon called the Apollo Lunar Surface Experiments Package, studying the effects of micrometeoroid impacts on the lunar surface. Bean's artistic endeavors included painting scenes from space and creating a series of limited edition prints. His unique perspective as an artist-astronaut added depth to his post-NASA contributions. Alan Bean's legacy extends beyond his time on the moon, showcasing the fusion of science and art. His artworks and contributions to space exploration continue to inspire a broader appreciation for the wonders of the cosmos. Alan Bean's transition from astronaut to artist reflects the multidimensional nature of those who have ventured into space. His lunar exploration and subsequent artist expressions provide a unique perspective on the human experience of space travel. Bean's legacy lives on in both the scientific and artistic realms, enriching our understanding of the moon and the broader cosmos. Coming in at number 3. Who was Charles Pete Conrad? Charles Pete Conrad, Jr., born on June 2, 1930 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, passed away on July 8, 1999. Conrad was the commander of Apollo 12, the 3rd person to walk on the moon, and he played a crucial role in advancing human lunar exploration. Here's 10 interesting facts about Charles Pete Conrad. Before joining NASA, Conrad served as a naval aviator, accumulating over 4,800 flight hours in various aircraft, including fighter jets and patrol bombers. Selected as an astronaut in 1962, Conrad flew on the Gemini 5 and Gemini 11 before commanding the Apollo 12 mission in 1969. Conrad, along with Alan Bean, spent about 7 hours on the lunar surface during the Apollo 12 mission, conducting experiments, deploying scientific instruments, and collecting samples. Apollo 12 successfully landed near the Surveyor 3 spacecraft, and Conrad and Bean conducted a brief visit to inspect and retrieve parts from Surveyor 3, providing valuable data on the effects of the lunar environment. Conrad was the 3rd person to walk on the moon, following Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. His famous words upon stepping onto the lunar surface were, Whoopee, man. That may have been a small one for Neil, but that's a long one for me. Conrad served as the backup commander for Apollo 11, making him a crucial figure in the early stages of the Apollo program. Conrad commanded the Skylab 2 mission in 1973, spending 28 days in space. Skylab marked the first U.S. space station. Conrad earned a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering from Princeton University. After leaving NASA, Conrad pursued a career in the private sector, including working for McDonnell Douglas Aerospace. He also remained an advocate for space exploration. Conrad's leadership skills and calm demeanor during the unprecedented lightning strike shortly after Apollo 12's launch demonstrated his ability to handle challenging situations in space. Charles Pete Conrad's contributions to the Apollo program and lunar exploration, particularly as the commander of Apollo 12, showcased his leadership and problem-solving skills. His role in recovering parts of the Surveyor 3 and his subsequent command of Skylab missions solidified his legacy as a key figure in the early years of human spaceflight. Conrad's impact on space exploration, both as an astronaut and advocate, continued to be celebrated in the annals of space history. We're getting close to the end. Now, number 2. Who is Buzz Aldrin? Edwin Eugene Buzz Aldrin Jr., born on January 20th, 1930 in Glen Ridge, New Jersey, is still alive. Buzz Aldrin was the lunar module pilot for Apollo 11, the historic mission that successfully landed the first humans on the moon. Here's 10 interesting facts about Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin, a U.S. Air Force colonel, was selected as an astronaut in 1963. He piloted the Gemini 12 spacecraft on the first Gemini mission before being assigned to Apollo 11. On July 20th, 1969, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong became the first and second humans to walk on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission. Aldrin followed Armstrong onto the lunar surface. Aldrin spent about 2 hours and 15 minutes outside the lunar module, conducting experiments and collecting samples during the iconic moonwalk. Aldrin earned a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the United States Military Academy at West Point. He later earned a Doctor of Science in Astronautics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. During the Gemini 12 mission, Aldrin set a record for the longest spacewalk at the time, spending over 5 hours outside the spacecraft. After retiring from NASA in 1979, in 1971, Aldrin wrote several books, becoming an advocate for space exploration, and even made guest appearances in popular media, including a cameo on The Simpsons. Aldrin proposed the concept of a monolith on the moon Phobos, one of Mars' moons. His idea suggested using Phobos as a base for crewed missions to Mars. Aldrin received numerous honors, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal, and the National NASA Distinguished Service Medal. Buzz Aldrin has been a vocal proponent of future human exploration of Mars, proposing a plan known as the Aldrin Mars Cycler. Aldrin's Mars Cycler concept envisions spacecraft continuously cycling between Earth and Mars, providing a potential framework for sustainable transportation for Mars missions. Buzz Aldrin's legacy is firmly embedded in the monumental achievement of being one of the first humans to set foot on the moon. His contributions to space exploration extend beyond his historic moonwalk, encompassing advocacy for future missions to Mars and ongoing efforts to inspire the next generation of space enthusiasts. Buzz Aldrin remains a symbol of human exploration and achievement in the vastness of space. We're almost done. Are you still here? That's awesome. You know what else would be awesome? If you'd share this with a friend or two or on your social media so other people can enjoy it. And hey, guess what? I'm not an AI, I'm a real person, which means I'm probably butchering the names. Leave a comment below if I've blown it or if you think somebody else should be on the list instead. Now, let's finish strong. And finally, coming in at number 1, who is Neil Armstrong? Neil Alden Armstrong, born on August 5th, 1930 in Wapakoneta, Ohio, passed away on August 25th, 2012. Armstrong was the commander of Apollo 11, and he made history as the first person to walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969. Here's 10 interesting facts about Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong, a former U.S. Navy official and test pilot, was selected as an astronaut in 1962. He flew on the Gemini 8 mission before being chosen as a commander for Apollo 11. On July 20th, 1969, Armstrong set foot on the lunar surface, delivering the famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," as millions around the world watched the historic event. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin spent approximately 2 hours and 15 minutes outside the lunar module, conducting experiments, collecting samples, and planting the American flag. Armstrong piloted the lunar module, named Eagle, to a safe landing on the moon, overcoming challenges during the descent and making a manual landing with seconds of fuel remaining. Before joining NASA, Armstrong was a test pilot, including flying the X-15 rocket plane, where he achieved altitudes over 200,000 feet and speeds over Mach 5. Armstrong earned a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering from Purdue University and a Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering from the University of Southern California. Armstrong's piloting skills were crucial during the Gemini 8 mission when he successfully averted a near-disastrous spacecraft roll caused by a malfunctioning thruster. After leaving NASA in 1971, Armstrong taught aerospace engineering at the University of Cincinnati and served on various corporate boards. He maintained a relatively private life. Armstrong received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States, for his contributions to space exploration. Neil Armstrong's historic moonwalk and his contributions to space exploration made him an enduring symbol of human achievement. He paved the way for further exploration beyond Earth and inspired generations of scientists and dreamers. Neil Armstrong's significance in the annals of space exploration cannot be overstated. His monumental steps on the lunar surface represent not only a giant leap for mankind, but also a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Armstrong's legacy continues to inspire and serves as a beacon for those who seek to explore the mysteries of the cosmos. That concludes our top 10 countdown of famous moonwalkers. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel because every Tuesday I publish another top 10 famous folks countdown. Thanks and have a great day.